Borders are not changing, but power is. Across continents, the 21st century map is being redrawn, not by armies, but by trade routes, technology, and quiet alliances. No formal declarations, no victory parades, yet everything is shifting beneath the surface. Analysts call it the age of silent geopolitics, a global reset happening in plain sight. For decades, power flowed through a single system: Western-led finance, military alliances, and energy control. But after years of economic shocks, wars, and climate disruptions, that system is fragmenting. Countries once dependent on Washington or Brussels are building new networks, regional, digital, and multipolar. The world is no longer split between East and West. It's becoming a complex web of interests, and that's rewriting the global balance. Look at trade first. In 2024, BRICS expanded, adding Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the UAE. These are not symbolic additions. They bring oil, ports, and population. BRICS now represents more than 45% of the global population, and over 1/3 of the world ETSWI's GDP in purchasing power. But its real significance lies in independence. These nations want options, financial systems that do not depend on a single currency or political bloc. China's Belt and Road Initiative continues, though slower and more strategic. Rail lines across Central Asia, digital infrastructure in Africa, and port investments in the Middle East create long-term leverage. Meanwhile, India quietly builds its own partnerships with ASEAN, Europe, and Africa, balancing between East and West. The United States, sensing a shift, has reinforced its Indo-Pacific alliances, while Europe debates how to define strategic autonomy. The map of power is being redrawn through economics, not borders. Technology has become the new front line. Chips, satellites, and quantum networks now carry more weight than tanks or missiles. In 2025, semiconductor alliances between Japan, South Korea, and the US tightened, while China accelerated domestic production under heavy export restrictions. Africa, once left out of the digital race, is now central, offering critical minerals like cobalt and lithium. New tech corridors are emerging from Nairobi to Dubai to Bangalore. The next Cold War won't be fought for land. It will be fought for bandwidth, data, and supply chains. But beneath the digital transformation lies an energy war, silent, financial, and long-term. The shift toward renewable power and green hydrogen is redrawing influence lines once controlled by oil. The Middle East, long reliant on hydrocarbons, is diversifying fast. Saudi Arabia's Enion project, Morocco's solar fields, and the UAE's investment in green tech are reshaping what energy dominance means. Meanwhile, African nations rich in solar and rare earth resources are negotiating directly with China and the EU, on their own terms. Power is no longer about who drills the most oil, but who controls the transition to what comes next. Money itself is changing. Global trade is slowly moving away from a single reserve currency. China and Russia now settle a growing percentage of energy transactions in yuan. India and the UAE trade oil in rupees. Even Europe is experimenting with digital euros. Dozens of nations are building central bank digital currencies to bypass SWIFT. None of this ends the dollar's reign, but it erodes the monopoly that defined the 20th century. The next economic map will be built on multiple currencies, not one. Climate pressure adds another layer. As water grows scarce and weather extremes disrupt agriculture, nations are forced to collaborate across political divides. The Middle East and Central Asia are launching joint desalination and irrigation projects. African Union members are developing shared drought insurance and food corridors. What began as survival may become diplomacy. The same rivers and trade routes that once divided regions could become the bridges that sustain them. The result is a quieter, more complex world, less predictable, more connected. Traditional alliances like NATO, the EU, and ASEAN are evolving, not dissolving. Parallel blocs, BRICS+, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and regional trade unions are gaining traction. None can dominate alone. Together, they form a decentralized order, many centers of power instead of one. This decentralization brings both opportunity and risk. It could mean fairer trade and a stronger global south. It could also mean chaos. Multiple systems colliding, rules overlapping, crises harder to contain. The absence of a single global referee might make the world more democratic, or more dangerous. Information itself has become a weapon in this struggle. Nations compete not only for influence, but for narrative control. State media, online campaigns, and digital alliances shape global perception. In the age of AI, influence spreads faster than fact. The real battleground is not territory, it's attention. So what does the future look like? By 2030, experts predict 3 overlapping spheres of power. The tech bloc, nations aligned through digital infrastructure and innovation. The resource bloc, countries controlling energy, water, and minerals. The finance bloc, economies linked by trade and currency systems. These blocs won't be enemies, but competitors, balancing, negotiating, coexisting. The Cold War logic of us versus them no longer applies. The 21st century is about networks, not empires. For individuals, this silent redrawing matters. It affects prices, jobs, travel, and technology. The device in your hand, the energy that powers your city, the food on your table, all depend on these shifting alliances. The world is reorganizing while most people still believe it's the same. The question is, who will adapt and who will be left behind? If you found this analysis valuable, share it. Subscribe to stay ahead of how the world's hidden systems, trade, tech, and power are reshaping life itself. Because the borders of tomorrow won't be drawn on maps. They'll be drawn in code, currency, and cooperation.